All right, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, April 15th at 9 a.m. Randy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Yeah.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And this morning we have Brian Carmack from the East Side Church for our morning prayer.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for those that lead and direct this amazing county that we live in here. We just pray a blessing on all of the interactions that are going on here. May there be a unity and a peace and a real working together today. As always, I just really thank you for the wisdom that you give to them too, as leading us. May we go to those good places where this is a very life-giving, active community that really helps and blesses a lot of people. Just pray a blessing on this time together today and all the people that are here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. So on the consent agenda, we have a letter requesting the appointment of Dr. Rebecca Roach as district medical examiner. We did not discuss that in our work session, but it's something that came up between our work session and this meeting. And I don't think it's very controversial. If anybody wants to discuss it, we can. But it's just something that we need to do to make sure we have continued service. So usually we, on the consent agenda, we make sure that we discuss those at our work session. And so people have an opportunity to have an eye on it. But as always, if you see anything on the consent agenda that you're passionate about, please feel free to bring it up at the meeting or prior to the meeting, and we're happy to discuss it on a larger scale. So any discussions on the consent agenda?
First, we have to do public comment.
Oh, public comment.
Yes.
Oh, you could have done it either way. Yeah.
Guys hear me? It's been a while since I've been up here. And so I came for a few different reasons. I'm Randy Weiners. I'm a Crook County resident. I'm also the director and the head coach for the Prineville Composite Youth Mountain Bike team. And first of all, I want to thank you guys for your service and all the work that the county employees do. It's very much appreciated. Primarily, I'm here because I'm using the opportunity to check on how this group's going. And from all the laughter, I can tell it's going a lot better than the last time I was here. So thank you for all your work and making this a better place. But I'm here really to promote PCOM. I'm trying to use every opportunity I can to make sure people know what program we offer for youth mountain biking in Prineville. And so I got Kiwanis. We got an award at the school board meeting the other night. I'm going to go to the city council because we're now starting our 5th season. And it's a program that participates in the National Interscholastic Cycling Association, which is a nationwide program that fosters youth cycling in every state in the country. I started the team 5 years ago with me and one other person, 3 athletes, families were involved, 1 business sponsor. We've now grown to 20 families and kids have been involved. We had 7 business sponsors last year. This year we have 15 trained and certified mountain bike coaches. And this is the preseason, so I'm just now starting out with our recruitment efforts. We're going to be going to all the schools and putting up flyers and trying to get a lot more families involved. I'm pretty proud of how it's kind of worked in Prineville, been pretty successful for 5 years. This year, the first year, we are going to allow 5th graders to participate, which opens up a whole nother group of kids that want to ride. I believe any kid that wants to ride in our community should have the opportunity, and the Prineville Composite Youth Mountain Bike team has certainly offered that to a lot of families and kids. So I just wanted to share that. Primarily, I'm trying to get the word out to anybody that I can. Word of mouth marketing tool. We've learned that over the last 5 years. And so if you have families that might have kids interested in riding, I mean, every kid likes to ride a bike. I'm not hard to get a hold of. I'm on the parks board. You can just Google my name. I openly share my contact information. And we have a website called p-comp.bike. So if you know of anybody, please pass the word and we'll get them going. So I'd be glad to answer any questions about that if you guys have any, or I can move on to the 3rd reason why I'm here. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you for doing the mountain bike.
Yeah, it's a great
Thank
thing, and I have a passion for it, so it's wonderful what we see the kids develop and progress through it. So, the third reason, and I'm not sure if this is going to be on the agenda later. Well, it is on the agenda later, but if there's going to be official public comment for it, I participated in the city council meeting last night and listened to the presentation from Public Services on increases. And my comments really, I can make comments now or come back up later, but I don't know what the process.
I think, we're not actually having a public meeting today, so I would share your comments
Okay.
now. And then just to be clear, we'll also have a period at the end of the meeting to have public comments.
Okay.
But it's fine if you share them now.
All right, I have a minute and a half left, so I think we can do that.
yeah.
My comments aren't necessarily about Republic Services. They offer a great service to our communities all over the country. Well, basically the Northwest, but all over the country. And locally, they obviously support us. We have family and friends that work for them. It's really wonderful, the things that they do here. But watching that presentation last night really brought up a lot of questions in my head is how do we, meaning county to city, negotiate increases on a multi-billion-dollar company? And the formulas I was seeing looked like they were like business unit revenues and expenses, not necessarily revenue and expenses from the bigger publicly traded company. I'm not sure if there's a way to like figure out a formula that would include the billions of dollars in cash they made last year, as an example, or some other way of not just focusing on the local business unit to decide on increases, because they made, numbers can be rough, 30% gross margin last year with 12 to 14% net margin increase. That's to help the investors, their stock owners, and understand that, but some way of not just focusing on local market. Because with that billions of dollars sitting out there, it's hard to like, I mean, for me, it's only going to be a couple bucks on my, it's cheap, right? But that's not the point. The point is, how can we do a formula that will include how much that company is really making on a national level or even a regional level? So,
Oh, keep it going. I like what you're saying.
oh no, so that was just a thought.
You're the first
Like-
person that's actually did a timer, so I'm impressed.
Yeah, we're not the city. We haven't had to implement a timer yet.
No, so just generate all these thoughts. And it's nothing about the presentation, or I
Yeah.
understand the formulas and how complex this is, but it's like all of our expenses are going up. I mean, I had a 34% increase in my healthcare premium this year.
Yeah.
Power increase, my internet went up by $5 a month. So schools trying to figure out a bond to try to pay for schools around here. But forever going on pool and recreation center, all these things start stacking up, and it doesn't matter where it's $2 here, $5 there. I don't know if anybody's really, I mean, I know we all think about it. If anybody's really ever formulated a process, like an economic community process, put it all together and say, what does it really cost us? Gas tax increase. I mean, it just keeps adding up. And so it started generating these thoughts in mind, more of the bigger picture of Republic Services, who's, they're a very wealthy company. And yet we're asking for 3% or 3.5% or 6% increase to us. I don't know if there's a way. I don't know the answer. I know it's complex, but I wanted to share my thoughts. And maybe you guys are way smarter than I am. Maybe you guys can figure out something that makes more sense to the community.
I think it's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. Anybody else in the room have a public comment? Anybody online? Okay, on to the consent agenda. Any discussion or any comments?
You know, I will make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Got second.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
All those in favor?
Hardwick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Okay, Republic. You want to just lead off with answering his question? I'm just joking.
Okay, are we ready?
Whenever you.
Okay, well, first I want to say thank you, commissioners, for having us today. For the record, my name is Erica Heitzman, the general manager for the Central Oregon Market, which includes service to Crook County. We're here today to talk about our financial results, including 2025, and then we'll talk about our 2026 projections and what our overall free cash will. So looking at the next slide, this is just a quick overview of franchise agreements. So we have a franchise agreement in place with Crook County, and we provide exclusive service to Crook County community to collect trash, recycling, and yard debris. And then the next slide has a consolidated overview of our financial statement. I'm going to talk in more detail, very similar to what we discussed during work session, but go into more detail explaining our overall revenue and the cost categories that make up our total results. So to start us off, looking at the top line, revenue for 2025 was $2.9 million. This represented a 13% year-over-year increase, which was a result of prior rate increases, including a volume growth. Sorry, I apologize. Looking at our total cost of operation was $2.6 million in 2025. This represented a 9% year-over-year change. Now I'm going to discuss the details of the cost categories that make up our total cost. So what makes up the $2.9 million? Oh, sure. Sure. Oh, I apologize. Can you hear me better? Really close. Okay. All right. Let me know if sound is off. But looking at the cost categories that make up the $2.6 million. So first is our disposal fees. Disposal fees in 2025 was $581,000. This represents the cost at the gate rate from Crook County landfill and the tonnage that we took there. Next cost category is our direct labor. Direct labor was at $692,000 in 2025. This cost category represents our wages, benefits, and payroll taxes for the employees who are responsible for providing the collection or service. Next is our equipment operating costs. These costs were $155,000 in 2025. This is primarily driven by our fuel expense. Our truck maintenance costs, these are costs needed to repair our truck equipment. This cost was totaling $255,000 in 2025. Our other operating expenses was $27,000 in 2025, and this increase or this cost category is primarily driven by our lease expense. Depreciation of our equipment, so this is trucks and containers that we purchased to provide service for the community. This cost was totaling $175,000. Our call center costs was $132,000 in 2025. This is cost associated with our call center that takes any incoming calls from the community. This includes a variable cost associated with our call volume, in addition to fixed costs associated with our technology infrastructure, IT-related costs, supervision, and overhead. The next cost category is our area and corporate costs. This totals $244,000. This represents, again, our corporate and area level over costs associated with support for our Central Oregon market. Some of these services include legal service, tax services, information technology, procurement services, accounts payable and receivable, billing, collections, customer communications, items like that. Next cost category is our management and administrative labor. This is the labor associated or the cost associated with the management team for the Central Oregon market. This cost was $34,000. And then lastly, our franchise fee costs. This was $89,000 in 2025. So all those different cost categories make up the $2.6 million of our total operating costs. And then overall, our franchise income for 2025 was $296,000, and our contract operating margin was 10%. So I know that was a lot of information, but any questions that you may have?
When you say the call center calls, I don't remember the specific amount, but wouldn't that increase with the more issues you have? And then that shouldn't be a cost to the citizens?
So there is a cost component relating to call volume. So variable costs that we'll call it from a call volume perspective. There's also the fixed costs associated with supervision of the call center employees, their wages and their benefits, along with, the IT infrastructure that's needed, and the technology.
What does the call center encompass? How many cities? How many states?
There's an entire network that's dedicated to supporting Republic services, but specifically for our Central Oregon market. In the Pacific Northwest, we have what we call a Oregon pod. So anytime a resident of this area calls into our Oregon pod, there's a group of call center individuals that are specifically trained to understand our market, our franchise system, that answer those calls.
So it's within Oregon.
Pardon?
So it's within Oregon.
Yes, the agents live within the Oregon state, and they're also trained specifically on our business unit, the operations, and again, the franchise system in our market that we operate in.
So are you charging us for all of Oregon, or are you charging us for a percentage of their time?
There's an allocation. So it's an allocation that's based off of the support that's needed for the Crook County area.
I'm good, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Dan Strandy, who is our business finance manager for the Central Oregon market. He's going to discuss our 2026 projections, and then we'll talk about our overall rate ask.
Whereas Erica just spoke to real firm hard numbers from 2024 and 2025, when we're looking into the future, let's acknowledge that it's subjective. Much of the cost that we're projecting is unknown, whereas some is known. An example of one that is now known is disposal increases at the Crook County landfill, which is going up just under 6% from 69 to 73. Whereas that is a firm known number that we can quantify and calculate. Much of the remainder of the projection is speculative. And with that, I have developed a process and shared with staff our train of thought to where we have come up with the numbers that we project. I do want to say the last thing I ever want to do is project liberally and then come back here next year and showing profits that are too high. So I take a conservative approach. And I want to acknowledge the gentleman that just spoke. Inflation is real. Inflation is painful. We all feel it, whether it is increases in eggs and milk, whether it's increases in property taxes, or whether it's going to the fuel pump, which is particularly painful right now. And I want to talk about fuel for a moment. So when we put this projection together, it was back towards the end of February. A lot has changed in the world since February. The fuel that we've experienced in March, and then while it's somewhat starting to soften a little bit, it's up about 40%. We all feel it. $6 fuel is very painful for everybody. And so I want to be very empathetic whenever we ask for an adjustment. We recognize that this is difficult for not just our costs are going up, but passing that expense on to our businesses and our residents of Crook County. With respect to fuel, when it comes to an expense that is deemed temporary, I do not ever ask for that in a pro forma. That is a cost that the company will just absorb. Now, I don't know for sure that this conflict in the Middle East is going to go away soon. I am projecting and not asking in my numbers that the businesses and residents pay for this temporary higher fuel. Only costs that I've included in the projection are either known that are going up, like a landfill cost increase, or costs that are highly probable that we know are going to go up, which is like general inflation. And so with fuel, I've actually projected fuel, whether I'm right or wrong, we'll know next year, but I'm actually projecting that fuel will go down 2% in 2026 versus 2025. That is very different than right now, where fuel's up about 40%. So I just want to acknowledge that we're doing everything we can to not ask for costs that may be temporary. The company will just absorb that in our efforts to help mitigate and keep the rates as low as possible for our businesses and residents.
So I think Randy's point was more the fact that the let's call it the mothership
Yeah.
of Republic is making 30% profits, or I don't know, whatever numbers he is. And so how does that correlate from the fact that you say you're getting 10% profits, eight to, let's just say 8 to 12% profits from
Sure.
all your different shops around the country, but then somehow that 8 to 12 turns into 30% on the final books or whatever the number is, which is higher than that 8 to 12. And I think that's a really good question of, if it says 8 to 12 on our books, but then eventually at the very end, there's a higher amount of profit, there's something, something else going on there where there's a little bit of a change from the bottom to the top. And, why do the citizens have to bolster that higher profit when, we're supposed to be doing, 8 to 12?
I can speak to that a little bit. I don't know the whole company as well. When we look at margin, typically your curbside collection is the lower margin business. The higher margin business tends to be your post collection, like a landfill. Those generate typically a lot higher margin because the capital infrastructure that is required for landfill is very high. So when looking at margin, it sometimes can not tell the whole story. We don't operate any landfills in here. We're just a collection. And when we develop our margins and our financials, it is all based on the Central Oregon. All those costs are direct from Central Oregon. In the reporting that I've created and have shared with staff and shared with you as well, Commissioner Crawford, I've identified every cost that is an allocation from above the local market. And I've tried to show exactly how those costs are allocated and how they fairly represent a true cost on the contract specific to whether it's Crook County or City of Prineville or City of Redmond. We operate and present based on just the performance of the contract that is here. It's very difficult for me to speak to the whole company. I get it. It's a large company. I don't know if 30%, I'm not an owner in the stock. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the corporate in total. I pay attention to just what we have influence over, which is here in Central Oregon. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but it's really the best I could do.
I'm going to add a little bit to that. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on with my voice, but a couple notes that I want to add. First, I definitely appreciate, the perception that Republic Services is a large corporation. We definitely are. But one thing I want to point out, like Dan spoke to, is we focus on the contract that we have in place, which is in Crook County. We represent the revenue and the expenses that are only associated with the contracts with Crook County. So, the concept of Republic Services as a large corporation, those financials need to be included in Crook County. So I just want to take a moment and say, the revenue generated from Crook County, it doesn't include like a business in California, for example. A California business unit does not pay for wages of Crook County or employees that service Crook County, much like we don't generate revenue from a business that services customers in California. So that's why it is all separate, and we only focus on the contracts for our business unit that we have in place, and that's with Crook County. So that's why it's different, and it's not a roll-up view of overall Republic Services financial performance.
Just curious. So all the expenses and things and operational are local Crook County. So the investment and assets of the Crook County area, is it come from the mothership or is it from a local?
So the trucks that, for example, in 2025, we received 3 new trucks for our Prineville market, and those are trucks that actually service the Prineville market. So while the company overall will support this market and getting those trucks are only servicing the Prineville Crook County market.
But are they purchased by the overall company and you're leasing them, renting them? Are
The company pays for the purchase of the trucks, which approximately $500,000 each. There is no interest that we're charged. So basically, we just have a free bank in which to pull that money from. The only cost that is from those assets that are in our financials is just the depreciation of the value. So a truck that costs $500,000 depreciated over 10 years. So each year gets 50,000 of depreciation expense. That's the only cost associated with that capital investment.
You have more, or I've got some questions when you.
I'll just touch on general inflation for a moment. I'm not a big fan of general inflation because it's very broad, right? It's not necessarily specific, but it's the best we have to use. General inflation right now, as published by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, I believe the last one was 3.6%. I've got a much more conservative approach in the pro forma. Again, the last thing I want to do is ask for too much. And so the inflation that we're using is 2 point something. I forget what it is, 2.57% inflation. So it's a much more conservative. And where 2.57 comes from is that is the historical average over 25 years. We're running a higher inflationary environment right now. My optimism says eventually inflation will get under control. I've put that into the pro forma. I'd rather ask for a little bit too little than a little bit too much because I'm going to have to come in front of you again next year. And the last thing I want to do is have a margin that's too high.
I don't have any questions. The question I had was what Brian asked.
I guess you're doing a little bit of that, but can you walk through your revenue projections model and provide the assumptions used outside of the request rate increase of 6.5%?
So the revenue assumptions is just, it assumes volume is the same. And the only increase in the revenue would be the requested ask for rate adjustment.
Well, what about things like the population growth in Crook County? Have you guys looked at that and looked at, obviously we're the second fastest growing county in the state. We've been the first. That's likely to continue. That would obviously over the next year increase revenues and.
Yes, for the projection, I always assume volume is flat, and I do that for a specific reason. As soon as we start layering in volume growth, which I get and understand that, but it can make it very difficult to understand and see what assumptions are put into the cost. So the thought process is let's make this clean. And if there's 1 or 2% volume growth in Prime or Crook County, if 98 or if we can price correctly the 98 or 99%, that's probably going to be material accurate for the additional 1 or 2% growth. It makes a cleaner presentation, I think, for staff to understand.
Are you expecting Crook County operations generally to be status quo next fiscal year? Do you anticipate any material changes?
We don't anticipate any material changes to our operations.
So this would include kind of some of the things we've been talking about, having somebody at the office.
Yes,
So
that will
they can be
remain the
checked
same.
in and. What have you guys done to find efficiencies to reduce costs over the last year? And then kind of what are your plans next year? Because, you, just like we've heard from the public, people in our town are, able to buy hamburger instead of steak and different things. Are there ways that you're looking at reducing, costs on your side that maybe wants, not needs?
Yes. So, we always look at ways for making, gosh, I'm so sorry. Might be getting sick. I don't know.
We'll stay over there. Sorry, public.
We hope not.
Just kidding. We are always looking at ways for making our operations more efficient. One of the biggest drivers of cost is labor. So first and foremost, labor impacts everything that we do. We obviously need to have our frontline workforce providing the service on the streets to the residents of Crook County in this entire area. So while reducing headcount is not a viable solution because that impacts service, we're focusing on our employee retention. So making sure that we are keeping the people that we've hired, we're training them they're providing reliable, consistent service. So we're not having to go back a second time to provide service. That does increase costs. So, and then we're looking for productivity. We call it productivity and efficiency. So how can we make the routes more optimal? How can we make them more efficient when we run them? So those are the ways that we really put a lot of focus within our operations to make it more cost effective.
Do you have any specific things that you've done? I mean, I know that's a general, system that you're looking at, but have you found, are there specific things you've done over the last year or plan to do next year to kind of tighten your belt?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know as far as like what specifics you're looking for, but we, from an employee retention perspective, we look at making sure that we're hiring the right individuals. So we put focus on how we're conducting interviews and candidate selection. We're focused on how we're training our employees, so making sure that they have the resources and education needed to perform their routes efficiently. And then we're focused on creating an environment that our employees want to stay in. So we focus on employee appreciation, employee engagement, and events at our local division. So our employees feel like they're well supported, they're appreciated for the service that they do every single day. From a route perspective, we always look at route balancing to make sure routes generally stay within what we call our industry standards, so 10.5 hour routes. Where can we balance stops for that to make sense? We have industrial routing fundamentals that we focus on to make sure that those routes are ran as efficient as possible. This is industry jargon, but like we focus on swing percentage and haul matching. I know that probably doesn't make any sense, but these are the specifics that we look at within our business to make sure it's as efficient as possible. And we continue that approach into 2026 because those are the methods that we found reduce costs while making our operation as efficient as possible.
Anymore?
Right.
Right.
No, I'm good till the hearing, sure.
Okay. Do you have anything else? Unfortunately, we can't make a decision today, so we'll have to come back. And I think it would be helpful to have some specifics of cost, of efficiencies that you guys have looked at, because I really think that would mean something to the public. I know with the state increasing the gas tax and not even looking at ODOT, I felt offended by that. And so I think if we could show people what you guys are doing to tighten your belt, I think that would be helpful.
Sure.
Then my final comment is, it looks like you're going for a 10.5 plus or minus. What would be the number for an 8.5 plus or minus?
Are you talking about overall contract margin?
Yeah.
Dan, you're better at
Or an
math in
8.
your head.
How about an 8?
The simple approach would be a 6.5 ask to yield 10.5. If you're looking at 8.5, you'd subtract 2% from that. It's close enough math. It's not exactly that, but it's pretty close.
Okay, so that's something,
1.8.
I just thought that'd be good for us to be able to mull over
Sure.
between now and next meeting. So you're saying at 8, it would be at 4, and at 8.5, it would be 4.5, and so on.
Roughly speaking, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair, close enough math, yes.
Anything else?
No.
Nope.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
And it's great that the service has gotten better.
Thank you. I
And our
appreciate
phone
it.
isn't ringing off the hook
Yeah.
all the time. So I mean, that is a positive.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Now, if we can just keep it affordable for everyone, we'll be in good shape. Thank you.
All right. Kelsey and John. See you ready.
I tried to watch you guys yesterday and you censored me. I couldn't get online.
The BPA meeting.
Yes.
Oh, so I think Will had some issues too. They had control when they were doing the presentation, and I guess they don't use Zoom at BPA, so they weren't aware of that. And by the time we told them, you guys had dropped off. But sorry about that.
Yeah.
You have the slides. Go crazy.
Yeah. Thank you for
We can
sending
make
the
up
info.
whatever their comments.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, guys. Thanks for the opportunity to give an update. I'm Kelsey Haskett, the Prineville Crook County Director with EDCO, and let you introduce.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here. I'm John Stark, CEO of Economic Development for Central Oregon, aka EDCO.
So I will start with a local update, just regular stats that we look at, and then I'll let John expand more on regional things and legislative session, things along those lines. So pending projects that we have for Crook County specifically right now, within the Move, Start, Grow, Move being new company recruitment to the area, Start is early stage ventures, and then Grow is local company expansions. Move, we have 10 pending projects in the pipeline. Start, 1, we typically have less startup activity than some of the more metro areas in the region. And then 12 pending projects for Grow, existing businesses. And here you can see how those all line up as far as industry goes and then percentage of projects. So slightly more Grow projects, which is typically the case. Local business expansions are a majority of our activity. And then company recruitments. That's not to say that we're actively out there seeking companies. If we receive a lead from the state, say that we fit those requirements and have the land infrastructure that they're looking for, then we can apply for those. Some of those come direct from businesses, some from the state, and some from brokers, bankers, other community partners. And then the startups, like I said, are the early stage brand new companies. And then industry wise, we have advanced manufacturing is always our biggest industry where we have activity, existing and new activity, and then building products, which also falls under that, but to further flesh that out, and high technology, aviation, aerospace, renewable energy, agriculture, and food processing. Here you can see the anticipated capital investment with those pending projects that were mentioned on those 2 slides. So for the Move projects, $1.3 billion. For Start, those are usually, like I said, early stage, so less capital intensive upfront, and then they grow more moderately over time. And then Grow, $961 million. And then job creation with those same projects, we have 89 for Move projects. Start, again, usually start with 1 or 2 people, so nothing shows there. And then Grow is 111 jobs. Here you can see building development since 2023. So we like to track our spec development, both buildings that are move-in ready for companies that don't have a use up front that developers are putting in, and then also build to suit for specific companies. So this covers both of those since 2023. So about less than 2.5 years, we have 203,000 over that square feet, which is great for the region in general, but for the size of our area, that's pretty incredible. And a lot of that is in Tom McCall. We've seen that get pretty fully developed here in the past 5 or so years. So there you can see the number of buildings for each type of project. Some of those are still under construction, which we'll talk about some of those projects here later in the presentation, but good progress for that park when it was vacant for 10 plus years. Here's the total investment for Crook County since the program has started. So these are just the businesses that EDCO has worked with. Over $11.8 billion invested into the area, which again is pretty incredible for the size of our area. Most metro areas don't see that in decades. So good things to come for us, especially as some of these tax abatements roll off and that revenue's coming in. And then the jobs associated with those same projects since inception of EDCO's Prineville program are 2,675 jobs created in the area, which we have just over 12,000 for our labor force now. So that's multiplied quite significantly over the past 10 years or so. Here are our three largest active projects. So you guys are well aware of the Lexington project, I know. That's been on the news a few times, but they took over the Owens Corning facility on Main Street, formerly Endura Products and Contact Industries, many names, but that's 600,000 square feet of reuse. So unlike some of our other mills that have gone away and sat for years, that one was scooped up in less than 6 months. So the timing was kind of perfect. And then we had a job fair, which Susie was at as well. 20 regional employers that got together and tried to reemploy those people up front when Owens Corning announced their shutdown. And 40-ish people were hired from that effort. And then once Lexington came in, they rehired a good chunk of those employees. So they were able to just transition over the ones that ended in November straight into Lexington's workforce. So they had 53 when I put this together a month or so ago. And I heard this week at our board meeting that they have 86 employees now. So they're ramping up pretty quickly, which is great. So put that together, the 86 plus the 40 with the career fair. A lot of those people are already reemployed out of the 184 when they shut down originally.
And don't they want to ramp up to like 240 or something?
So
Those are very-
Endura had 220 at their peak in my time, which they, at the rate they're growing and the products they're getting into, they partner with Anderson on a lot of projects, and they acquired Brightwood. So that gives them a lot of opportunity here too. But they confirmed 150 at least within 5 years. And I could see them surpassing that definitely.
Right.
And then they seem excited to engage in the community as well. So they want to offer student internships, invest in some of the local nonprofits, get involved, have their workforce volunteer with local nonprofits too. So up front, that's great for the area. And then CV International, for those that were at the annual lunch, you heard them speak about their project. They're building 70,000 square feet of new building space up in Tom McCall. That company has been around since the 80s, and they're in Bend currently, kind of separated in 4 different buildings. So this will give them the chance to aggregate operations under one roof, and they're super excited to be here. So that'll be about just over 50 jobs, but likely more there as well. So some of those will be moved, some of those will be created, and great team to work with so far. They have over $10 million in investment, which is also pretty great for a manufacturing project for the area. That usually 1 million is generous, so that'll be a big project for Prineville. And then the last one, Oppiden's wrapping up their data center. I don't have the exact date for their expected finish. It was April originally, but looks like they're still working on final touches. That's the data center up by Meta, between Meta and the roundabout. And they have 61,000 square feet of building space. So not our typical data center. It's more of a backup data center for an existing one. And they anticipate about 20 employees, but usually they're conservative, all the data centers with their jobs, and then grow from there as the need increases. So I will provide updates as I have them on that project. They have over $250 million in investment here, which again, they're usually pretty conservative with those numbers. So those are our 3 current ones that are either finishing or continuing to expand workforce. And then Lexington may also expand generally in the future as they get up and running further. And then this just further shows the Owens Corning transition to Lexington, and then CVI shared these stats at the annual lunch for what drew them to Prineville specifically. So the value just of land, in general, what they're getting for their dollar with a new building. And they were especially excited about the new convenience plaza up there and access to that, and that there will be gas up there. The tax incentives, they ended up using a 3-year agreement. So the baseline that they can use, but that'll give them a little break as they get up and running. And then the just streamlined process for permitting, they were able to get permits in a matter of weeks versus 18 months that they may have had to wait elsewhere. And then infrastructure in general, just the growth, the intentional growth, not growth at all costs mindset of the area, and just the support that local government with city, county economic development provided. And then in general, they they employ a lot of veterans, 15% of their workforce, and their owners are veterans. So that was important to them with values of the community. Meta Community Action Grant. So we will get an award tomorrow for Crook and Jefferson counties for our entrepreneurship work that we started a couple years back with Center on Rural Innovation. So they funded that effort originally, and now we're further expanding that information, especially with the regional innovation hub, which John will talk about. So basically, we'll hire someone with that money to assess gaps, see what benefits we have for entrepreneurs, specifically small businesses that are getting up and running, resources that we have here, partners, mentors, things like that. So kind of map that ecosystem and figure out what's needed and how we can support those businesses going forward. So that information will feed into the innovation hub, but that process is just getting started, but awesome that we're able to fund some of that work and keep it going. And then some of the rankings with growth mentioned earlier in the meeting with the Republic discussion, but population and job growth, Crook County continues to be #1 in the state for both of those. And then income growth rate #1 as well. Crook County is now #2 in the state for county average wage. We were #3 for a number of years. So we're about $400 a year behind Washington County, which again is incredible for a rural area. That's pretty unheard of. So the GDP, which John will also talk about, has gone up significantly. And for the cost of living here, there's more of a equilibrium between cost of living and wages here. So that's what we love to see in this industry is jobs that afford people the lifestyle that they move here for or live here for. Business growth, Crook County is #1 there as well. Deschutes County behind them. So Central Oregon region in general tends to lead the charge, especially in recent years on growth for the state. So that hasn't slowed down. There's more uncertainties right now with a lot of just legislative things at the state and federal levels that people are more conservative on projects that they're doing, but our existing projects are moving along and our businesses are still seeing success because of the wages and the population that we're seeing come here. And that is, I believe, all for me. You can either ask questions now or we can save them all for the end. Totally up to you guys.
I don't have any
any
questions.
questions.
Good job,
You're on a
Kelly.
roll.
Yes.
Yes,
Keep
say so.
we
keep
don't
it
want,
going.
we don't want to
Away.
interrupt you.
Here. You want to switch?
Yeah, let's switch.
No ivy on the courthouse anymore. You have to update
There you
your
go. New
picture
photo.
here.
And the arborvitae are gone too.
Yes, I pulled that from a website just this morning in quick. Oh, I've got to change this picture and it probably needs to be updated, clearly. But nothing wrong with the history of the community as well. So thank you for pointing that out. We'll get that corrected next time. Thank you for your interest in asking us here to talk a little bit about what's going on across the region here. You can go to the next slide. Most of you know, as Kelsey had indicated, our work is in traded sector, move, start, grow, industry, helping industry grow so that other industries can follow behind it. We just completed in November an approval of a new 3-year strategic plan. And in that strategic plan, we updated the mission statement to what you see at the top of this slide to strengthen communities by creating opportunities that generate new revenue and family wage jobs. And that is done through Move, Start, Grow. I've got about 20 slides here. I'll move pretty quickly. Our team is made up of 15 people region-wide. We do have a vacancy. In fact, there's interviews tomorrow for our director of events. And then we also have a vacancy for our Bend area director. Next slide, which we just made an offer last Friday, which was accepted, and that person will start on May 11th. So a couple of transitions. One's a retirement. One wanted to go work in the nonprofit sector. So moving on, this is a quick snapshot of our strategic plan. Again, #1 goal is business growth here in the traded sector. And then 2, the third leg of the economic development stool is innovation and entrepreneurship. And I'll talk a little bit more about how we're creating a thriving entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem. And then 3 is really some things we talked to you about the last time that we were here, some of the work we're doing in advocacy. in an effort to make Oregon a more business-friendly and investable state from the business perspective. And we've done a lot of work there, so we've got a slide on that. And finally, it's really about organizational excellence and sustainability, making sure that we're efficient with the public dollars on the organization. Bless you, Seth. That's going around, a little hay fever with the extra wind this morning. I've had it as well, so if I do cough, pardon me. And then next slide, that strategic plan over the next 3 years really focused on 5 key industries. And those 5 key industries are high tech, so that's software and hardware, and that includes data centers in that. Advanced manufacturing, which, as Kelsey had mentioned, includes building products, aviation, aerospace, and other metallurgical type manufacturing, and clean tech. And lifestyle products is mainly outdoor beverage industry, food processing industry as well, and then the outdoor products. And then scientific is really spearheaded by our bioscience industry, mostly robust up in the Bend area, but we've got some medical device companies throughout Central Oregon as well. And then management of companies, which include both headquarters operations such as Les Schwab, and others, and then also administrative centers, call centers that support operations for larger organizations in other areas. A lot of that's moved to remote work these days, such as the former T-Mobile, later Consumer Cellular, but some of our insurance companies and some of our utility companies have call centers here as well. The last 3-year strategic plan that wrapped up in June 30, 2025, if you go back one slide, if you will, please. We created and helped generate through catalytic oversight and work with our traded sector companies the creation of 750 jobs and $200 million in capital investment. And our events, why we have events up here, because that shows momentum in the work that we're doing and support by a broad-based community in the work that we're doing and the results that we're achieving. So, and that broad-based community helps us offset the cost of public dollars that go into our program. So that's why we've got events up here as well. We hit our targets in 2 of those categories. We anticipate a stronger next 3 years than we do looking back, because some of the projects, Opidin is one of the examples, we thought would be done by June 30, 2025. And just it takes longer to get a project done today than it used to because of many different variables. So we anticipate some of the things that are going vertical today will contribute to a stronger outcome for us over the next 3 years. And then next slide, just a quick rundown of the makeup of our organization and the revenue that's generated. We're a $2.2 million budget. From the high end of things there, the private sector generates about 37% of that budget. The public sector, those are contracts for services that we do work for communities, counties, and cities, 35% of our total revenue. Earned revenue is our events, about 20%, and then other comes from grants and so forth. And then these are some examples of some recent folks that joined us as members of the regional organization. I should point out that results that you're looking at here are through Q3, quarter 3 of fiscal year 25-26. So we were not able to reconcile all of our data that ended March 31st for us. And so we're updating some things with the new strategic plan, new metrics, and so forth. And so we weren't able to reconcile that by today's date. Obviously, the quarter just ended here less than 2 weeks ago. So. Moving on, next slide, please. A little bit of data for you. There's no community probably anywhere this side of the Rockies, let alone in the country, that wouldn't be proud of that blue line. That's your GDP growth since 2019. It's a 70% GDP growth. The state's GDP growth is running at about 9.8%. You're 7 times the state's GDP growth. You've gone from about $800 million in GDP over that time to about $1.4 billion. There's nobody that shouldn't be prouder than you guys. And that's because of intentional investment in economic development and taking a chance on investing in a technology opportunity that has helped change the landscape here. Deschutes County is running about 24.5%. It's about 85% of total regional GDP. We're starting to take a larger share of total state GDP today. We're at about 5.8%, whereas we're about 4.6 0.8% of total population. But we're punching above our weight in the GDP and certainly in the growth area. And so Kelsey talked a little bit about population growth. I won't get into that today, but next slide depicts area employment growth. And there's been some changes here as well. So the state flattened out at about mid 2023. We're starting to see a little bit of flattening of employment growth too. We're still on the positive, although year over year in some communities like Crook, there has been some job losses. Some of that's tied to federal government changes, some of the work that Doge did. You've got some federal government employees here. We did see some impacts in manufacturing year over year. That was the change in Enduro, which Kelsey alluded to, has some response and changes back to the positive in that space. But we are seeing employment growth in certain sectors, and my next slide kind of depicts what that looks like. So while in 2024 we saw a lot of industries on a pretty strong, this is the lighter green color, trajectory for growth in jobs, 2024 resulted in 2025 resulted in a little bit less growth in those industries in the area. And so we're seeing that even more impact in 2026. So it's just a softening of the economy. So these are employment numbers. Keep in mind that when we talk about employment, that's a survey of employers. And when we go to unemployment, that's a survey of people looking for jobs. So sometimes the two don't exactly correlate together. You could actually see jobs added in a quarter, but an unemployment rate grow. And we're seeing a little bit of that. Why? Next slide, please. The area unemployment today, this is area unemployment since 2010. So you've got some recession-related employment numbers here. We're still growing. You're the darker blue line in terms of unemployment. You're up about 0.7% as a region here. You guys are up about 0.9% in unemployment, approaching that 6%. And what does that mean? That's not a bad thing necessarily. It's not great for the 6% people unemployed that are looking for jobs. But the good part of that is that's a balanced labor market. I've been studying employment for the past 25 years. I worked for an employment agency for 10 years prior to my work for EDCO. Balanced employment means there's a good number of people looking for jobs, that employers have a good candidate pool, and there's a good number of jobs for employees that want to work that are employable. And so what the challenge is that some folks that are out there that have been looking for a while that have had a tough time, it's slimmer pickings. So the employment office's population of people attending there to look for jobs is up year over year, and the number of jobs posted is down. About 60% on people looking. This is employment office activity, and we're down about 2/3 of the number of jobs posted. So you've got a delta where it's crossing now. And so I think with some of the things that you've seen happen in this community related to the Oppidan building opening, what's happening with Lexington, what's happening with CVI, that'll start to buck some of that trend for you. I will say that, some changes in government and health, health's been on the upswing and private education's been on the upswing. That's the same category, whereas some government jobs are being shed and so forth. And that is, something that's different than the trends we're watching in terms of traded sector employment growth. Next slide. So these are, again, Q3 data for our work. Why do we track event attendance? As I said before, this is people's putting their shoulder behind the message of EDCO and the work that we're doing. So this was halfway through the year. BBC, we were just shy of our goal. Pub Talk, we was running halfway through the year. We do more Pub Talks the second half of the year, so we're on pace to meet goal this year. We have Pub Talks every month, with the exception of 2 months in the summer till September. As I'd said, there's more of those. The annual luncheon has occurred. We had 750 people at that, so we were just shy of goal, mostly because of capacity. And our other events really haven't happened yet. We have several made-in tours planned, as well as our annual meeting. So this is part of that 20% of our revenue share, so it's important we meet our goals in that space. Next slide.
Before we move on, I think
Yeah.
you guys do a really good job with your events. I know that whenever event is coming, there's a big buzz about it, and I don't just hear about it from you guys. I hear about people from all over the community. You're going to be there, right? Things like that, and I think that says a lot to your point of getting that community behind you. So good job.
Thank you very much, Steph, for that. We always enjoy you guys coming to those events, and these things keep selling out. Kelsey was sold out well before her event, and Edco sold out several days before ours. So appreciate that comment. Next slide. So Kelsey had alluded to how do we generate leads. This is a breakdown of our leads year to date as of December 31st. One thing Kelsey didn't mention, we have a digital marketing campaign that uses a profile that we've generated by CEOs around the region, what they search on. And then we launch digital ads into either LinkedIn or Meta ads that say, hey, move your business to Central Oregon. So this is targeting mostly California right now. But we've also targeted Seattle on occasion. And these are some of the different ads and so forth that we share across that channel. We just doubled down on our investment to close out the second half of the year. So we'll probably see some larger numbers in digital leads in our move campaign. Next slide. And I'm going to break this down, our work to fill the pipeline. This is our commutative work to coach early stage companies. This is again through the second quarter, December 31st. Investors engaged. The bottom line is the goal. We're well ahead of our cumulative coaching sessions and our investors engaged to fund early stage companies. And then active portfolio companies, we're punching above our weight. There's a lot of activity in entrepreneurship, and the study that Kelsey mentioned is how do we find more entrepreneurs in Crook County and lift them into the ecosystem to support early stage company development. Next slide. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our Ben Venture Conference, one of the events that we have. This was a highly successful event we had last October. We had 8 winners, 2 from Central Oregon, 75 companies applied to that. The day of the event, we deployed $278,000 in investment. We had cash awards for 2 local companies in the amount of $25,700 in grants and about 342 attendees. This is part of the engine that is the ecosystem, and we've had companies from other communities such as Range Revolution from up in Jefferson County. The reason we want to lift through this study additional entrepreneurs to the ecosystem because we'd like to see some Crook County activity on the BVC stage as well in the future. And so we're working on that here locally. Next slide. I mentioned, or Kelsey mentioned the Regional Innovation Hub. So Business Oregon funded 11 innovation hubs across the state. We were one of them. We're the lead agency. So we've hired a director of innovation and entrepreneurship, and the role of that person is to optimize the ecosystem across the region. That's the ecosystem supporting entrepreneurs to, 1, de-risk the entrepreneurs, 2, find more entrepreneurs. When I say de-risk, I mean de-risk the investment in those entrepreneurs. Help them build sustainable and exitable type companies. And then create an entrepreneur resource network. And you can see the folks that we've started with there. Some of those community, some of those organizations support activities here in Crook County, such as SBDC, SCORE, and of course, Business Oregon, as well as obviously EDCO. So we brought that group together. We've had multiple meetings. They're meeting monthly now. And again, the goal is to identify gaps, optimize the entrepreneur experience, and then find a sustainable funding source so we can continue to deploy these services across all parts of our region, including into rural areas. Next slide. And then this is just outreach visits through December 31st and assists and referrals. This is working with our existing traded sector businesses throughout our communities. This is the work of our local directors, such as Kelsey, reaching out to our businesses, making sure that if they've got challenges, how do we help them with them? And if they've got opportunities, how do we help them to the table to grow or create a project here in the area? Next slide. And then this is regional cumulative total projects by community, by type. So you can't see the key that's at the bottom, but move is in blue, start is in orange, grow is in green. 180 projects across the region. Most of the startup activities happening in Bend. Like I said, we're working to get more of that activity in our rural communities through that innovation hub. Suffice to say, Redmond's kind of leading the job count. This is through the end of December 31st, and that's why you see a mixed message from what Kelsey showed in terms of the billions of dollars that she has in her pipeline. This will get updated with the end of Q3, end of March numbers. And so that's why there's a little bit of a delta here. But you can see that next to Jefferson County on the investment side, Crook County is still performing very well through the end of the calendar year. And then that's a job creation. So 180 projects region-wide and by community. Each community has projects. Madras just started a new person here in the last about a year and a half ago at this point, and they've got some projects today. I was running about 2 or 3 trying to support that effort from Bend. Having someone in the community, now they're running between 6 or 8 projects in that community. And so having someone in the community really makes a big difference. Next slide. And then a breakdown of that pipeline by the industries that we're working with. Again, high technology and lifestyle product kind of dominate the pipeline, followed by advanced manufacturing. High technology activity primarily resides here and in Bend. And then the regional pipeline is pretty fairly evenly split between lifestyle products, advanced manufacturing being close behind, and scientific activity mostly coming from Bend. Next slide. And so this is kind of the results year to date. Again, our cumulative results through Q2, orange is the goal. We're making good progress in the goal of grow companies. We're not quite halfway there. Again, it's taking longer to get projects done, but we are pretty well set halfway in terms of the jobs. And our grow projects to date, and we have a lot of them being built right now, they're not quite completed. One starting up in La Pine called Western Metrology, Saran Bioscience in Bend is Vertical, Nosler, and Amazon aren't quite completed up in Redmond, and then CVI is under construction here. We've got a lot being built right now, and they haven't finished those projects. Next slide. On the new venture started, we're punching above our weight again there. A lot of activity there. We're starting a lot of new companies. We anticipate being well above our goal there, and the jobs created by that category, honestly, a little bit because of Oregon's reputation, startup activity is starting to replace some of the move activity that we've seen over the last decade. And so our innovation and entrepreneurship work is really important right now, so we can keep that ball rolling. Next slide. Cumulative grow done deals, again, not seeing as much activity. A lot of stuff is going vertical right now. You see some of the names of the companies that have finished year to date through Q2. 2 of those projects are in Redmond, Blackstraps in Bend. GFP Response is a sisters company. We expect to see a lot more finish up here in the quarter we just finished as of March. Next slide. And then I think it's important to talk a little bit about the table setting activity. This is advocacy work we're doing to support the region, air service development, the Central Oregon Innovation Hub, and a lot of work we're doing on the land use to support some new concepts around UARs, urban area reserves. And we've got a land use think tank that's working on a new legislative concept. We haven't unveiled it yet. We're looking to do that actually in early May. To a couple of our state legislators to make it easier to use the urban area reserve. Right now, only 13 communities, cities, use urban area reserves. And that's largely because it follows a process much like UGBs. And so we're looking to chip away at making that a more useful tool, allowing it to be a more reasonable long-range planning tool to increase the supply of employment and housing land that supports.
Can you explain UARs?
Yeah, urban area reserve is a long-range planning tool. So really an urban, a UGB amendment, an urban growth boundary amendment occurs about every 10 years in a sliding scale to meet 20-year demand. Urban area reserves pick up from the 20-year up to 30, and we want it to go to 50 in short. So great question, Seth. Thank you. And then the next slide really depicts some of that regional table setting work. Enduro's mentioned here because we were solving a workforce problem. We were a lot in the state capitol during the legislative session, advocating for additional tools for economic development. House Bill 4084 is an example of that, which extends some enterprise zone benefits and makes it more usable by other companies. We're involved in utility supporting our power companies in their quest to find investors to invest in additional infrastructure to bring more power to the region to fuel our economic development. We were working on a number of workforce strategies, and then we were playing a little bit of defense. And I'd say that we won a couple and we lost a couple in that there were some bills passed that weren't favorable to business. Senate Bill 1507 that decouples from the federal tax code for the QSBS qualified business stock, and then the bonus depreciation. It was an HR1, the federal bill, and so we lost that one. We were hoping for defeat of that, but it did pass the legislature. And by fact of statute, the governor did not sign it, but it went into law as of 30 days post session. And then we did win a couple of things on the front of protecting utilities' ability to find investors and make investments in that infrastructure that I mentioned. Next slide. And then these last two slides, these are just for you. So this really concludes. We continue to see accolades for the region. And keep in mind, they are now referring to the entire region as the Bend MSA, which is now all 3 counties. And so you'll see a conversion of data over the period looking forward, but it's still being broken down by county. We can get that data for GDP, we can get that data for employment and unemployment, but they're now referring to the MSA as all 3 counties. And so when we say number 4 Milken Institute best performing city, those numbers will be inclusive of 3 county performance. And so we continue to outpace other parts of the country, even relative to job growth, wage growth, number of startups, number of or activities related to our outdoor industry, as well as population growth. And the last slide is just for you. You'll have this in your packets available. You can click on these data links and find data relative to our economic development in real time, anytime that you want it. So this is places that we pull some of this data outside of the stuff that we track. So with that, I would take any questions that you might have.
I'm good. I thought you did very good presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. Appreciate it.
I went long. I just want to reiterate, thank you so much for your ongoing support of our work. We try and be transparent with these presentations about the work that we do. That's why we talk about budget and the makeup of that budget and the outcomes that you're investing in for us. And so we can't do this without you, honestly. And it takes a team sport. And when we do these projects, it's not about just investing in us, but it's the partnership we do to make projects happen. And you guys are behind a lot of that. And I know Seth and other commissioners up there have taken time to be present at a lot of these things and help some of these companies and help solve some of the workforce solutions. Again, it's a team sport. We're glad to have you on our team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just add one last plug. A week from today, we have our quarterly member mixer, which that one specifically is focused on Tom McCall development. So Kevin Spencer with Empire Construction and Development, he'll be giving an update just on development trends within like smaller industrial projects being industrial parks. And then it's up at Wild Rooster 3:30 to 5 next week. So that's on Eventbrite. There is a quarterly newsletter going out just after this meeting too, so you can register there. But thank you guys. I will echo what John said. Appreciate everything you do. And thank you, Seth, too, for participating on the board and being involved at another level as well.
Yes. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Anna. You brought Brenda too? No, you're just here hanging out? I just haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you.
Good morning. My name is Anna Contreras with St. Charles Foundation, representing for the hospice auction. You guys can hear me, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just here to ask if the potential waiver of the rental of the arena for this year for the hospice auction, first weekend in December. One thing I do want to call out, we are asking a slight change of the rental. And normally we get in on a Wednesday. We're asking if we can get in Tuesday and have all day Tuesday through Sunday for setup and hosting the event, and then tear down, clean up, and like it never happened in the arena. Hopefully Casey agrees that we do a good job of that. So
Yeah. And we talked yesterday. We've been asking kind of other community groups to put a little more skin in the game. And
Right.
so we talked about maybe us putting up half and you guys putting up half.
right.
And you
Yeah.
guys seem pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying with you yesterday, Seth, it's a great great partnership that we have with the community and the, you know, the fairgrounds and you, the commissioners, and, you know, you guys have been longtime supporters. And I was looking at it, the approximate rental fee for the Tuesday through Sunday would be about $2,200. It was like $2,176 or something. So about $2,200, not including the deposit. So just the rental fee itself. So that would be roughly $1,100 for us and $1,100 for you.
What do you guys think?
That's fine with me.
Yep, I'm good
Casey,
with it.
is there no conflict for them adding an extra day in your schedule? Okay. Okay.
And case do I have that number right? That it's approximately 2,200 with the Tuesday, correct? Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Do you want me to I make a motion to waive 50% of the fees for hospice?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hellmerick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Well, thank you guys so much for you. It was an amazing event and you do amazing things for people in our community. So
Thank you. Yeah, we're really proud of it and it grows every year. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Heather.
Hi, Heather Ford. I'm with the Humane Society. I'm the operations manager of the thrift store. And I am asking for the fee waiver to be waived for this weekend's event, Lucky Dogs Casino Night at the fairgrounds.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm fine. I know you guys struggled very, very much with money and you guys do a great service for our community. So I think it's super important that we support you because you guys take care of all the fuzzy little animals, and if you weren't there, they'd be running wild in our community. So we don't.
We try to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, you want to go with this one?
Yes. I don't have it on my calendar here. It doesn't show up on my worksheet, so I don't know what the amount of money
$500.
is. 500 bucks.
588.
Oh, sorry.
So I'll make the motion for 588. Humane Society.
I second that motion.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Hellmerick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Thank you for all you do. I know it's not an easy job, so.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Christina. Oh man, you'll be up here for a while. Maybe a break after she's done.
Might be good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Christina Heron, Crook County Finance Director. The first one on the agenda is our March Treasurer's Report. So this first spot on the first page is going through our cash balances in the bank. As you can see, we're pretty steady from last month to this month. Moving down into the next section, this is just a reconciliation of the cash accounts in our general ledger in the accounting system versus those bank accounts and our funds. And then the next section is how that cash is allocated between each fund. We went through those. The next page goes through how our investments are currently split out and our unrealized gain on investments. And just a reminder, I'm sure you get sick of me saying this, but we do hold all of our investments to maturity or call, which reduces the amount of risk. So while I would love to realize $1 million gain, that's not realistic based upon holding them to maturity unless the markets are really wonky. We did have a $1.5 million maturity in our investments in March, and cash flow allowed us to reinvest that on a shorter term till about 2027. So we have laddered maturities for cash flow purposes. So that was good. And finally, interest rates haven't moved much at all. So all the rates are still the same as the prior month. So happy to answer any questions that you have on this one.
I have no questions. You do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. All right. Audit.
All right, so the next one is the final financial statements and audit for fiscal year 2025. We received a clean audit opinion, and the letter from the auditor to the Board of Commissioners is included in your packet. We can walk through any of that if you have any questions, or I can read some of it if you'd like. It's a little lengthy.
Whatever you can hit the high points.
Yeah, I think the major things that they have in there are, we don't have any significant deficiencies in anything. There were no findings that we needed to make changes on. And then it just brought up some GASB rules that are coming down the pike that we will be implementing in the future. And they made some comments about the shortage of accountants generally.
That's a personal problem.
Yeah, well, they were saying how it affects our
I was gonna say, that isn't our problem.
No, just me personally.
as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I have no questions.
No,
That's
I don't either.
yes.
I think, well, I got a comment. Great job that we don't have any deficiencies.
Thank you. We can.
That's not easy because they really dive through stuff. So good job.
Yeah, with the new rules, they're, part of IT is now getting included in this review as well in the audit. So, we're doing a good job on that. So thanks to the IT as well for making sure we have all the controls in place.
Right. Annual financial assurance update of the recertification for landfill.
So this is the annual update that we have to do for the landfill, just showing that we have the funds to handle post-closure when we do close the cells. And we meet all of the requirements with flying colors, so no concerns on this. And then it just walks through where all of the information comes from in our financial statements. There's a letter from me, and then there's a letter from the board that requires signature as well.
Okay.
Okay, I have no questions at all on that either.
Is that something we need to do a motion on?
Oh,
I would suggest, yeah, since we're here.
okay. I guess.
Go ahead.
is
He
it
did the
me?
last.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the annual financial assurance update and recertification for the landfill.
Second,
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
I'm a guy
Crawford, aye.
Barney, I.
I was trying to go through where this is. There's so many pages to this agenda. It
It
takes
is.
forever.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
Did our portal crash or what?
Doesn't make it as fun.
It keeps going off. And then it sits here and just.
I'm sorry, I don't have an answer. Without looking at it.
Yeah, mine's good. Okay, wolf compensation.
So this last one is a grant agreement for the Wolf grant through the state. And this year they've awarded a total of $52,545.61 to Crook County. $14,803.69 of that is for depredation awards for loss of animals to producers. The remainder is for prevention. And because we do not have any necessary expenses, I did talk to the state late yesterday. We are not required to have a 10% match. So we're good to go on that.
Perfect.
So this grant is kind of a weird timing one. This one stretches over 2 fiscal years and ends next January. So the Wolf Committee is responsible for determining how to allocate those funds under the rules set aside in the grant.
Perfect.
On that 10%, so you got that assurance that it's not this time, but could it be next time?
It depends what they request for funding wise. So we didn't request any of the necessary expenditures is the line that it's included under the grant agreement, which those are more of the admin costs.
Okay.
So if we were asking for administrative time and items like that, they do require a 10% match on
So
that.
basically you'd be paying yourself, really.
Basically, yeah, you have to have the 10% of skin in the game. for those
Okay.
Expenses.
Okay.
Because one of the things we've been talking about is getting specific emails for different boards. And that could come into play next round if we were to ask to spend money, because surprisingly, emails aren't cheap. That's wild to me, but they're not cheap. And so if we could get money from that, that would be administrative fee. And then we would pay 10% of that, but then that would help us to get to that point.
But we're only paying the 10% of the administrative fee, not the
Yes.
10% of the total grant
Correct.
allocated.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
That's the part that I missed
Exactly.
out. Okay.
So say you ask for
Okay.
$2,000 to help,
And I-
then you would pay $200, but then that $200 would mean $2,000.
That was the part I didn't
And
get
it
my
would,
head
and
around.
it could
Yeah.
really help
Okay.
get something like that. moving
Because what
forward.
scared me is with multipliers in there, if you went
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
10% of the total,
Yeah.
it could be really frightening.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the grant agreement is really unclear. It's extremely vague.
It doesn't really tell you, and that's the part that made me nervous. That's why I called you yesterday.
Yeah. And so I called the state to confirm and she got back to me
Okay.
immediately yesterday.
Okay, that makes me feel way, way better. And that, you said that it was in non-departmental resources, so that doesn't mean we have to worry about any allocations or in our, but when we get in budget cycle, we
Correct.
don't worry.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
All
any
right.
more discussion?
no.
Nope.
So,
I think we have to, do we have to approve this one?
yes,
I make a motion to approve the 2026 grant agreement, ODA 4688 GR.
I second that motion.
Any discussion?
No,
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
And then if you guys don't mind, we'll take like a 5-minute break.
That'd be really great.
Thank you.
Drink.
Back? All right, Brad, what do you got?
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Brad Haynes, Crook County Road Department Superintendent, and I have a discussion with the cinder crush that I put out for bid. Got 3 bids. We had 12 people show up for the bids. We got 3 bids. Lowest bid was for our equipment LLC for $73,450. I called them and they assured me that that was the correct price. And I would like to ask that it be signed, the contract be signed out of session after the 7-day waiting period that legal is requiring.
Great.
Just so we have it on the record, the 7-day period is to send out a notice of intent to award required under public contracting law. So that gives the other vendors the opportunity to say, no, Crook County, you've done it wrong. I don't remember the last time we had a bid protest, but nevertheless, the statutes read what they read.
Okay. I make a motion to accept the Grass Butte Cinder Crush for 2026-03 and to be to or our equipment LLC and to be signed out of office.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Thank you.
Next.
The next one, I have another one here. It's a multifaceted one. It's for our chip seal this year. I do have a bid. Let's start off with a bid for the chip seal rock crush. I put a rock crush bid out at the beginning of March, and we got the bids back. We had one bidder show up to be able to do the crush, and the total price on that was $180,901. And it is Clint Woodward Construction LLC. And I would like to ask that that be signed out of session after the 7-day waiting period for intent to award required by legal.
Go ahead.
Oh, me again?
You again.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the Clint Woodard bid for the chip seal and to be signed out of office.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hermrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Thank you. The second part of this is for also chip seal. I have contacted a oil supplier for the materials for the oil. I've got a roads list produced this year, and you guys, I do believe, have that in front of you. And it's
Albina Asphalt.
Albina Asphalt is the asphalt company or the oil company. We're going to use a new product this year, a cationic product coming out of Klamath Falls. And we're going off the bid for Deschutes County. They always get a good bid, and it's actually less than it was last year. And this delivered price is $531 a ton. We're approximately going to use 550 ton. I won't know until we get the project closer to the end, but we will be using about 550 ton of oil. This also includes a distributor for putting the oil down on the project. The $350 an hour rate for the distributor, approximately 8 days to do the project. So that equals about $30,000 for that. Project's going to start in June. June 8th is our target date for starting the chip seal project this year. We're picking up a lot of the local interface with the city roads that need to be done. And so that's, I would like permission to go ahead and get the oil ordered, purchase it, and have it signed by you guys when it gets here.
So you said this is a new product. What's the difference?
It's not a new product. It's a product that we've not used for a long time. We use a high float oil. This is more of a cationic emulsion. It's a harder emulsion. We're putting it down in the lesser ADT areas, development areas. So it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit more forgiving. So.
Well, I can make a motion to approve albino asphalt's motion, proposal for $5.31 a ton for the chip seal material, freight and distribution.
I will second that motion. And
Ye-
does it need to be signed? The only amendment, does it need to be signed after 7 days?
No, this will be the purchase price. So
This is-
when it comes through finance, it's already approved by the board that
Okay. Okay,
we go forth with the
and I
project.
second the motion without alteration.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Herman guy.
Barney, aye.
Crawford, aye. Will?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
How's your project going? Blading and rolling and
We are starting it Monday morning, weather permitting. We don't have 6 inches of snow. No, Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we're starting the project. We have we have a neighboring county coming over to watch the process also. And they are participating in using the product also. So
where's that going to be?
Sharps Road off of, I think it's Gerke.
Yeah.
And you guys are more than welcome to show up and watch the process. Give us a few hours to get the rhythm though, please.
Yes.
We do have a rep coming out from Henderson, Nevada to be on site to give us guidance.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The notification, I'll get that out.
That's for,
Okay.
thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item will be pretty brief this morning. We discussed last week at the work session an update to the public records request policy based on a conversation I had with a member of the local press last night in an email we received this morning from outside counsel. There's still some feedback that's being incorporated into the updated policy. So I'm going to ask that we postpone any potential vote on the public records policy until hopefully the first meeting in May. But I did want to make sure we left this agenda item on and in the packet. There's some updated forms that were not a part of the packet at last week's work session. Anybody who's interested in what those forms look like is welcome to take a look and provide any feedback that they might have on those forms. Just a quick kind of summary of what we are trying to accomplish with this updated policy, kind of consistent with the board's goals around transparency. We are striving to adopt an updated policy that will improve efficiency, not only with the production of requested documents, but also if there are fee waiver requests or other items that come up around a request for public records. We're trying to create an efficient process, cost-effective process, not only for the county and the taxpayers, but also for the requester themselves when they're making a request. So again, this policy centralizes the process within the administration department and helps clarify timelines and what the public should expect when making a public records request. Again, we'll try to get that final policy in front of the board the first week of May, but we did receive some feedback both from county council and a member of the local press that I think warrants some further consideration before we finalize the public records policy, so we don't have to bring it back in a couple months. So happy to answer any questions about the policy as it's presented in the packet today. But if there are none, we can postpone this.
No, I think it's best to just get the best product possible. I'm glad we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we're super close. So
Good job, Will.
Yep. Thank you, Will.
All right, manager's report.
yeah, just a couple quick things this morning. First, April has 5 Wednesdays. I actually haven't done the math, but that's what Brianna tells me, so I trust her. I believe we have 5 Wednesdays, so we do not have a board meeting on April 29th, which would be the 5th Wednesday. That's in our schedule, our calendar that we've previously discussed, but I just want to remind folks that there's no meeting on the 29th. And then second, Brad Haynes received a letter from AOC and Oases. Is that how you say it? And they're asking, and they presented a template letter, but they're asking that counties support some federal legislation. It's called the Basics Act. And I'm sure Brad can speak with more certainty regarding the proposed federal legislation, but it looks like it's House Resolution 7437. Basics stands for Bridges and Safety Infrastructure for Community Success. It's bipartisan legislation. And it basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, but it reallocates how some of the federal funds are distributed. Recently, a lot of federal funds have been distributed to counties through grants. Current administration is pushing for a different allocation, and to ensure that these funds continue to come to the counties at the county local level and not just go to the state. This Basics Act kind of helps reallocate that. And Brad, I'm happy to have you come up and speak to more of what this act would do.
I don't have a total grasp on this whole. It just came to me a few days ago, so I haven't got it fully read. But it streamlines the proportionments that come to the counties. And so instead of going through the state and having them take their percentage out, it just comes straight to the counties. And then we have to have administrators from the state administer them. So.
Yeah, anytime we can have more local control, especially in Oregon.
Yeah, and it was sent to me. I went to an Oasis, all counties, Eastern Oregon counties meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was mentioned then, and they kind of got together with this template letter for all counties to get a hold of your representatives. And so I ran it through the county administrator, and he thought it was good to talk to you guys about it and see if you guys would be interested also to participate in it. And I would be a signer also if you need me be too.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, my recommendation, I think based on the template letter, I think this is a good opportunity for us to ask for that kind of modified allocation. I do recommend that both the board and Brad, as the road superintendent, sign the letter. So we have a template letter. I believe, Susie, you've seen a copy of it. I don't know if the other commissioners have, but it basically describes what we've described here. So I would recommend we move forward with signing the letter. We're happy to answer any more questions the board may have, but I wanted to get this in front of the board as soon as possible because it sounds like there is some urgency in getting the letter out.
Yeah, that's the way I interpreted the letter and the draft that they gave us that we could go by. It just streamlines it. Instead of going to the state and they distributing it to us and maybe we don't get it all, maybe we can get it all.
Yeah.
Much quicker.
Don't need the state to get their hands in it. I make a motion to approve the sending of this letter with the signatures of the commissioners and the roadmaster and it to be signed out of office.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hermick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Morning, aye.
Brian, you got anything?
Thank you very much.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Brian?
Nope, I'm good.
Susie?
So, COAC, we made the Highway 126 Pal Butte Post Office intersection. The roundabout made the top 5 of what they're going to submit to ODOT. And when you look at the top 5, they're all Highway 97 and then us. There are another 10 projects that didn't make that. But when you look at the numerical number that it is does not, it isn't a priority. So number 1 doesn't mean it's number 1. So all those top 5 were in that top 5 bracket. I have not gotten the Emerald Shirley was going to go ahead and write up a new a new list. She has not sent that to me yet, but we did make the top 5. So there's that. That doesn't mean we're getting funding or it's going to work. It's going to happen tomorrow, but
Step
at
in the right
least
direction.
we have established it as the county's top traffic priority. And now it's been established as a regional top priority. So that's at least a step in the right direction. At the work session, Best Care gave a presentation, and I was the one that wanted to go ahead and do a letter. In the meantime, there has been a meeting, an executive meeting of Central Oregon Health Council that possibly has changed the dynamics there. So I am not going to move forward with the Best Care letter at this time until I see basically how things settle out with what's happening with Central Oregon Health Council and Best Care. So that's all I have.
I went to the AFRC conference with Tim DeBoot last week. We got some really good information about a group that has helped quite a bit on SRS funds. I want to look more into how effective they are, but there's a very, very small cost to be part of that group and work with them. So I think there's value there. And then just hearing about how the Trump administration is pushing cutting more timber and managing our forests and using our public lands. And more to come, but there's some opportunities for the county to get involved in helping that move that along. And I'm doing some research to figure out what that might be, to be able to kind of even raise that number higher locally. So,
Okay.
all right. Final chance for the public before we go to executive session. Anybody here? All right. Anybody online?
You can tell Tim, I like your new picture.
Christina, I see that your hometown had an earthquake.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody okay?
Yes, they're fine. My mom sent me a video of one of the cars rolling driveway. Our Walmart got hit really hard, like tons of it knocked off shelves. It was a big earthquake, that's for sure. There's some question as to whether it was actually an earthquake or whether it was, the Navy has a couple of secret sites out there.
Oh.
But yeah, it was 5.7, I believe.
Wow, that's pretty. That's pretty. Are you guys in earthquake country?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. You have faults out there?
I have a friend that lives close by and they showed a picture of Walmart in the store. It's more cleanup on than one aisle. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's some really big faults.
Well, I guess because I lived on the San Andreas, I only thought basically about California. I never thought about out there.
Yeah, they were talking about power is a big one. There was some.
Cascadia or whatever.
Well, it wasn't necessarily Cascadia. It's further inland, so it's more middle Nevada, but UNR, I remember going to the University of Nevada, Reno as a kid, and they had a huge earthquake. All those seismographs, just tons of them in rows measuring.
Interesting.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, we went to the 4-H auction and I got to see Susie's bathrooms.
Oh.
And they are very, very
Is
nice.
there a
I can't imagine.
Is
what-
there a plaque?
I can't imagine what the ladies' room looks like. It's
Oh, it's
10
beautiful.
10 times better, but I gotta say,
Yes.
it was
And
very, very nice
it's
to be
too-
able to have a clean bathroom.
It's too bad Casey isn't here because Casey had to run by and say, you have to go to the bathroom. And I had to say, Casey, I don't need to. And he goes, I don't care. You've got
You
to
gotta
go
go
to the
see
bathroom.
it.
So Casey was heavily advertising the restrooms, which was great. And we are going to start working on the cinder block one. So soon women of Crook County will have nice restrooms. I don't care about you guys, but I do.
Well, it's
care about this
nicer. It is nicer.
It'll make the line shorter.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you
Or
go.
longer.
Yeah. They don't want to use them now.
Now.
Casey just keeps advertising, yeah. But anyway, but yeah.
All right. You ready? Crook County Board of Commissioners will now need meeting executive session under ORS 1926602H, consulting with counsel, considering the legal rights and duties of a public body With regard to current litigation likely to be filed, representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we'll return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. Crook County Board of Commissioners will now leave executive session under ORS 1926602H. Consulting with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Representatives of the news media designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision was made in executive session. We have now returned to open session and welcome the audience back into the room.
Commissioners, for the first executive session, I don't think that there's any motion that needs to be made. For the second executive session under 2H, I would recommend a motion to authorize the county legal counsel to correspond with the counterparties as discussed in the executive session.
So move.
I second the motion.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor?
Herrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.
Yep.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And
Any
there is no
discussion?
discussion on that subject. Herrick, aye.
Crawford, aye.
Barney, aye.